Good evening. I know that potty humor is generally considered the lowest form of humor, and I'd like to avoid it if I can, but I got a story that involves something like that. When you talk about coincidence, maybe there is such a thing, but when it happens so frequently, you're tempted to think that it's become something like destiny, or something that's beyond coincidence. And so something like that I've experienced in my family, actually. Everyone in my family, and I mean everybody, has some sort of uncanny propensity to have very terrible close encounters with animal excrement. It's a terrible thing. And for example, my mom, no matter where she goes, every year she experiences birds pooping on her somewhere. We've been at the beach, we've been walking down the street. She was taking my little nephew trick-or-treating, and she got hit so hard with a big, gigantic thing of bird poop that she thought she got egged by somebody in the head, and it wasn't that. So poor mom, you can sympathize, but since we all go through it, we don't give her a whole lot of sympathy. My brother's another example. He, we were suburban by habitat, so whenever we'd visit a farm, it was a big deal. So we went to a farm once, and he saw a big pile of hay. And he took a running jump into this hay, only it turned out it wasn't hay. It was a big pile of manure, and he landed about waist deep in this manure. But we were grateful that he didn't jump in head first, but it was still very unpleasant. I myself one time had a job in a chicken farm, and also being a suburban boy, it was a very novel experience, and one of the things we had to do was clean the chicken cages. But since the chicken manure would be there for a very long time, when you're doing this, it would have dried out. And so clouds of chicken poop dust would be up in the air, and we'd be breathing it all the time and getting sick. So we've all suffered. That's what I'm really saying. My family has suffered for this gift that we have. And that's what I wonder about things like coincidence. You could say that it's a terrible thing that we all experience, but maybe there's something good about it. There's some kind of gift involved. My sister Bonnie happens to be the one who's the most gifted in the family in this respect. And one time she was involved with a guy. She was 18 years old. She had this relationship, and she was very serious about it, really liked the guy. He liked her. He was 24, she was 18, so there was in those days, a little bit of an age difference that they were concerned about. So she was very mindful of wanting to appear a little bit older than 18 or be a little bit more sophisticated than she probably actually felt. So when the relationship got to a certain point, she was going to go on a big double date with him, with his older brother and his older brother's wife. And they were going to visit them in New York City at this brand new apartment they had in Manhattan. So it was a big deal. So she's dolling up and nervous and trying to think about what she might even talk about tonight that would be remotely interesting to these older people. And he picks her up, and he's a little bit nervous too. They all want it to go well. She gets into his car, I believe it was a little Volkswagen Beetle, and she's seized and overcome by the awful stench of dog poop when she walks in there. And she's like, oh God, what's going on here? And she doesn't know what to think about it. And so she's, nobody's saying anything, and it's very powerful. So she's trying to have polite conversation, and meantime her eyes are darting all over the place trying to figure out what's going on here. And there was no solution. She just had to suffer through it. So they get into New York City, and they get into the apartment. And of course this older brother's a very wonderful guy. He's like, come on, we're making pizza, we're gonna have milkshakes, and they're trying to make this a really nice event. Well, they're getting the tour of the new apartment, and she's traipsing up and down stairs all over the place in this house. So it's terrible, and she was very actually relieved to just have fresh air for a couple minutes before they got into the house. So the highlight of the house tour was going to be this expensive rug that they had in an upper room. And also there was a bag of films there that one brother was going to give to the other. So they're like, come on, Bonnie, come on upstairs and see this rug. And she's like, oh God. And so she gets up there, and she said she's like hanging in the door sideways saying, oh, very nice, and trying to do this on some landing on the doorway there. Horribly embarrassed, not sure really what to do about the situation. Nothing's been said at all. So finally they're leaving, and the brother hands her boyfriend, this bag of films. And he said, here are the films. And he goes, well, are they all there? He goes, yeah, they're all there, but man, they smell like shit. And she's like, oh. So they're walking down the stairs, and she can see these big globs of dog poop on the steps, and they couldn't get out of there fast enough. Well, as they're walking into the car, and they have another terrible car ride where nothing's being said about this, and she's thinking, oh, this is just, I'm sunk. This relationship isn't going to go anywhere. When they get out of the car and they're going into his apartment, she says something like, look, I have to confess, I have this dog my shoe. It's just been terrible. And so she's railing, very embarrassed, not sure what to say about it. And he said, well, look, are you going to take your shoes off and come inside, or just talk about it all night, So he was very cool about it. And so, I was pondering that. I'm thinking, there was a situation where she was able to see something about his personality through this coincidental plight that we all have with animal excrement in our family. And she ended up marrying this guy. And so I thought, then there's kind of a happy ending. But then, of course, in the course of things, the relationship didn't last. And the reason for that was it turned out the guy, coincidentally, was dead. So is it coincidence? Is it destiny? I don't know.